Hi, it's Michelle Stone with Michelle Stone Masterpieces, and I am coming to you today because I have my first exhibit up in years and years and years and years. And I wanted to share with you the different concepts and the different thoughts of the exhibit that I have. I have 16 pieces from one particular series. I have 4 pieces from another series, and then 2 other pieces up, so a total of 22. And what I want to do today is I want to talk to you all about what those pieces are and how significant they are for me, and how they've moved so many people over the last month, just people who have read them and people who are just touched beyond words, and how it's resonated with them. And so some of the people are actually speechless, which moved me and spoke really deeply to my heart. So I'm going to give you a tour. I'm gonna give you a tour by me, and I'm gonna flip around my camera so you can see what this looks like, and then we'll go from there. So, all right. So this particular piece is called Life Does Not Get Better by Chance. It Gets Better by Change. And it's, when I created this piece, I was in a space where I knew I had to do something to change my life for the better. And so if you look at all of the different, there's dragonflies in there, which to me is significant change and transition kind of space. I created this dragonfly out of copper and marker to add to this particular piece. But this was the beginning of the whole series, what I call my Joy-Based Living series, based upon a group that I'm part of called Joy-Based Living. So this is the first piece. This particular piece is called You Are Perfect. And it's a series of mantras that have helped me through moments of self-doubt and uncertainty in my life. And so it reads, you are perfect, love you so, you are beautiful, I am grateful, I am inspired, and there's a lot of other like quotes on there. Let me see. I honor myself, I respect myself, I am committed to my greatest success. And then it talks about, like, I was put here on this earth for a reason, and it's time that I'm going to shine. And so and there's a lot of other quotes on here that I can read later. Let me see. I live honestly and with integrity. I speak my thoughts openly and with vulnerability because I am speaking my truth. I make space for others to share their truth. I am forthright, I am courageous. I embrace my fears, I push through, I am. So that's this particular piece. This piece is called Courage, Faith, and Patience. Part of our Joy-Based Living group, we read a lot of books, and this was based on Dr. Mario Martinez's Mind Body Code book, chapter 4. And the question is, you know, what do you do when you have times of turbulence in your life? And for Mario, in that particular book, he talks about how you lean into courage, or you lean into patience, or you lean into faith, and how with the courage and the patience and the faith, how that helps you get through those times of turbulence. And there's also a couple other things that he has, something called magnanimous love. Magnanimous love is basically along the same lines as, you know, when you're on the airport, or not you're on the airport, when you're on the airplane and they talk to you about if the plane goes down, what would you do? And so you put your mask on first before you help anyone else, because if you're not breathing, you can't help anybody. And so magnanimous love is loving yourself before you love others. And so, because you can't give from an empty bucket. And then he also talks about imagine worthiness. And so just being worthy of just understanding that we are all worthy in our own, you know, just being born, we're worthy. And we're all worthy of having, you know, thriving and living the most optimal life. So, and then this part, sagwa, inclusive compassion. And that's a Buddhist term that comes along from the idea that compassion is incomplete if you don't have it for yourself first, as well as you have it for other people. So, so that's what that is. And then these are 3 people that are all coming together with, you know, with all connected through their own soul. And then these are the basic, the portals that Dr. Martinez talks about. So, and then kind of going through courage, like where you have the key, you're unlocking the key to courage, having faith and believing, the butterfly, the whole transition, and then having patience. So just think about the concept of time. So that's that piece. This particular piece is called Lean Into the Sharp Points. It's a quote by a Buddhist monk, Pema Chodron, and it helps me stay in the moment during difficult conversations and follow through on what I need to say to do. The quote is, lean into the sharp points and fully experience them. The essence of bravery is being without self-deception. Wisdom is inherent in understanding emotions. So for me, it really identifies like leaning into those difficult points, the difficult conversations, those difficult moments that life, you know, presents from time to time, and just like actually being in that moment and embracing it. So that's what this represents to me. Taking joyful ownership of your value in the world is the title of this piece. This is a vision that I saw when the founder of Joy-Based Living, her name is Debbie Happy Cohen, and she said this at one point: take joyful ownership of your value in the world. And I immediately got this image and just had to create it, and it's still one of my favorite pieces. It speaks volumes of just being in that moment and being, you know, full-bodied, full self-aware and full actualization. So that's what this means to me. This particular piece is called The Joy Cycle. It's based upon Debbie Happy Cohen's concept of when you're reaching for joy, what it looks like. And there's a cycle where you start off with safety, where the moon is, where you're in that safe space where you're like, I wonder what joy feels like. And so you start off there, and then you start to reach for joy. And joy is such an exalted emotion that it's you're really stepping out of your comfort zone when you're looking at it. And so you go from the safety to the joy, and so you're leaning into joy. And then as you're leaning into joy, you start to express yourself. You start to like put yourself out there, express yourself in maybe, you know, with your friends or with your loved ones, or maybe even on social media. And then as you're expressing yourself, then you kind of go up to expansion. So now you're expanding your awareness, you're expanding your container of worthiness, you're expanding your space for joy inside, your happiness, that kind of thing. And then after that, then you kind of come back into safety, because what happens is once you expand, then it gets a little scary again, and so then you come back into safety. So that's what that's all about. This one is called If We Own This Story, We Can Write the Ending. And it's based upon a Brené Brown quote by the same words, you know, if you own your own story, then you can definitely write the ending. You can figure out, you know, it's like taking ownership and responsibility for everything. And so this particular piece, the way that she's holding the two sticks is just, it's very empowered, and she's looking off into the mountains to kind of, you know, just like, all right, I got this. You know, if I completely own it, then yeah, I'm gonna be able to own it all the way and to fulfill my life and thrive, and you know, that kind of thing. So that's what that's all about. I am complete all by myself. In the 3rd year of joy-based living, I began having radical emotional spurts, growth spurts, just where I was having awakenings and alignments and different things. And at one point, the quote, "I am complete all by myself," came to me. And I imagined complete circles all over with a golden glow in the center. And this is what happened. This particular piece is called Veto the Stamp of Approval. And it came to me as I had another breakthrough regarding just people in general asking me to do something one more time, or, you know, just feeling like, is that okay? And if you look at it, I've got quotes like, is that okay? Are you all right? Does that make sense? Are you happy? You know, circle yes or no. It made me think of like, what's this one say? Let's see, happy, do you like me? Does that make sense? Is that okay? Just like those questions of a validation. And I put the mirrors on it to show that we're the only ones in our lives. We are the only ones that need our approval. And it's, you know, this is what it looks like. Veto the stamp of approval. And I even put like the little lace right here. Oops. So it looks like a stamp. So yeah, so that's that one. So this one is called Old Self Gravestone. Old Self. There was a point in 2001 where I was done living life on others' terms and began to live life on my own terms. And I had to put that old personality to rest to begin this new chapter of my life. This gravestone represents that moment. And then being from New York, Frank Sinatra is somebody that I grew up with, and he's got a song called "The Best Is Yet to Come." And so this is what just comes to me. So this particular piece, finding my voice, speaking my truth. For many years, I was scared to speak up, and after being taught not to be so vocal or not to want too much, you know, through my family, through working with my joy-based living tribe, as we call ourselves, I learned that my voice is important and valuable. And so I came up with this idea, with this vision in my mind, and I just feel as though my voice is important. This one's entitled "Don't Lasso the Pig with Your Pearls." And so it comes from a Bible verse that was used in one of our meetings, that it's don't cast your pearls before swine. And so this was my take on it. And so the girl, I immediately got this vision of this girl, this woman lassoing a pig with her pearls. And it was so funny to me that I had to create it. So this is the full image. I'm always powerful, valuable, and worthy. It's my birthright. This particular piece is called "It's My Birthright." And I've got representation of little blue baby bottles and pink polka dots. And then you've got, it's inspired by the idea that we're all born whole and beautiful with gifts inside of us that are uniquely ours, and no one or nothing can take them away from us. So this is a unisex baby, who is just filled with gold sparkle and crowns. That, you know, just, and how the mother glows when they're pregnant. They're glowing with life. Glowing with the life of an unborn child that has so many options and opportunities, and it's just so beautiful. So that's what this one's all about. And as we're born, you know, living into what is our birthright and not letting the societal norms and society to take anything from us. Inspired by a quote from a member of Joy-Based Living and the idea of our intrinsic value, I started jotting down some mantras that began with I, or I am. Thus, I exist. And so if you look at this particular piece and you use the word I in front of everything, it's everything that's written. You can kind of read where I'm coming from. So I am blessed. I exist. I am free. I am important. I am sovereignty. I have sovereignty. I am alive. I love. I am enough. I support. I'm loving. I'm artistic. I matter. I am respected. I am magic. I'm cherished. I live abundantly. I am wealthy. I am passionate. I am one of a kind. I'm special. I am love. I live. I enjoy. I am blessed. So that's what this particular piece is all about. This one is called Sovereign. So there's an acronym in Joy-Based Living called SPA, and SPA stands for Sovereignty, Power, and Agency. And so even though sometimes I have to really, even though I have the definition, I have to really create the artwork and like really lean into it. And so this is after the royal crown in England that Queen Elizabeth used to wear. And it came to me about learning about sovereignty through watching The Crown and just really embodying and watching what she had to go through, being, you know, a country girl who was playing with her dogs and raising her horses and just never in a million years was raised initially to think that she was going to be the queen. And so this helped me. This took me a long time to create, longer than all the rest of the other ones. And I sewed these pearls and I hand sewed them in, and there's layers upon layers upon layers of pieces. But this is sovereignty to me. This is, you know, being my own individual self. So agency is the name of this particular piece. And it's referring to the sense of agency, refers to the feeling of control over actions and their consequences. In this image, the red-shouldered hawk is soaring above the buildings and gliding in the wind, gliding with the wind in the direction that it chooses and is not sanctioned by the Stoic buildings. So this particular piece, going back to SPA, the sovereignty, power, and agency, I had this image of this red-shouldered hawk that comes up a lot of the time when I'm running, and how they just have, you know, that they're just there, that they hawks really represent the bigger picture, and how these buildings, whether it be societal norms or one's family or people in our lives, you know, we get to choose what is, you know, our own control over our own actions. So that's what that particular one is all about. So this is part of a series called Hell No. And it's hell no, I'm not gonna do this anymore. And so these are pictures of me as a toddler. And it's bucking the idea of the cultural conditioning of the years of suppression and patriarchy. Women, this particular piece is called Be Dainty Like a Flower, and that women should be dainty, and that I was taught to be dainty and wear lace and be fragile and, you know, not buck the system and all of that. And there's a key for this particular piece. There's a key in each one of them, and which represents the key to unlock my fullest potential. And if you look at it, it's got, there's literally patterns from a sewing, you know, like patterns that you sew with, and then it's got little flowers, and it's got lace, and it's got, you know, different things and pearls and all of that kind of stuff. So this is me bucking against the system, saying, hell no, I'm not gonna do that. Not anymore. This particular one is called Stay Inside the Frame. Basically stay inside the box. Like, there's little frames in here, little circles. You gotta stay inside the circle, right? You gotta just, you know, can't step beyond what those social norms are. So this is also part of my Hell No series. It's bucking the idea of cultural conditioning from years of suppression. Women should stay inside the proverbial box, and I believe that women and everyone have the right to express themselves as authentically as possible. And again, we have the key to break out to our own psyche. Again, a little baby picture for me from when I was first born. This one's called Don't Tarnish the Family Name. And I've got all of these beautiful dishes as pictures of don't ruin or tarnish the family name. And it was just the whole idea that when you leave the house, you have to look a certain way, that you have to, you know, got to make sure that you make good choices, that kind of thing. And it's funny because I was told not to do anything that would give the family a bad name in my little hometown, because we're such a small town. And as recent as a few years ago, when I went home, I was asked, you know, I was like, oh, well, let me go grab some bread. And aren't you gonna change your clothes? Hell no, I'm not gonna change my clothes. I'm gonna go just as I want. I don't have to, you know, dress a certain way to go to the grocery store. Again, knowing that I have the key. This one is called Be a Lady, also part of my Hell No series. Bucking the idea of cultural conditioning. Women should be a lady. Not for me. I'd rather play in the mud and get dirty. I'd rather say no. I want to weld. I want to, you know, climb the gravel. I want to drive the tractor trailers. I want to drive the big trucks and just, yeah. I don't have to wear these long, beautiful gowns. I can if I want to, but I shouldn't have to. This particular piece is called Chemo Hair. It came about when my best friend was battling breast cancer. And you know, during chemo, she lost all of her hair. And I get to see the top of her scalp. And so, as I'm looking at it, I did all these little wire sculptures, but tea or some things, the tea is one of the things that helped her. But when she heard the news, it was like, no, no, no. And then she had ideas, and then she had to take chemo. She had ideas, and she fought, and she fought. And now she's completely healthy. 6 years later, 7 years later, you know, the idea of, oh, I just got it. I like, what? But now she's free. So, cancer sucks. But yet, she's free. And so this is what the full piece looks like. And this particular piece came about when there's some ladies and I who are part of an art group all around the world, and we are challenging each other to create art on a regular basis, to like put ourselves out there a whole lot more. And so when I was like, so I took a day and I went out to a local park and I took this huge canvas. It's a 36 by 48 and took a paint palette and painted this plein air landscape that was absolutely horrific. You know, and typically I don't do plein air anyway, so I know it's a process, but it's just something that So I did. And when I was done, I came back and I was like, all right, ladies, I did it begrudgingly. And then it sat there and I just looked at it and I hated it and hated it and hated it. And then the next challenge for our project was, let's do something with like tea or coffee. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna take some paints. And I was my mom had passed in 2010. And so, but for whatever reason, I was feeling some mom energy. So, and her favorite color was pink. And so I put some coffee grounds and some pink. And I flipped this canvas upside down and I just painted. And then when I flipped it back up, kind of looking at it like, just very abstract, I found this mouth. It didn't have any color in it at the time. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. And then there are these two spots up here that look like where there could be eyes. And I worked on it and developed the face. It was very abstract. My mom's eyes were green, the same color as mine. But this is an ode to my mom. It feels like her in the best way possible. And so, and she had dark brown hair with like a red tint to it. So, and it was curly. And she loved to wear lace. So this is lace on metal, which is my version of what it looks like. But anyway, ode to my mom. I call it Pink Lady in Lace. So as you can see, this is my first exhibit in quite a while, and I'm very proud of it. I'm very thrilled and moved. I've had a lot of people make comments about how it's moved them, how it's left them speechless, how it's given words to ideas and thoughts and things that they hadn't thought about or that they hadn't considered, or that they, one woman actually told me that she had considered it and that she had lived a lot of her life like that, going against social norms and doing her own thing. But she couldn't put words to it until she saw my pieces. And then another woman said that I was really brave and really raw just with my work and everything. And so, and every one of you who are moved by it, or it's touched somewhere deep inside of you, I know that art has a way of making us feel things that we can't quite put to words. And I want to thank each and every one of you for coming and seeing my show or watching this video and being part of my experience. So, thank you.